But hey, before I sign off, I will just say if anyone has questions about pen testing, careers, me, whatever you want, I'll hang around and answer any questions people might have. So if you have a question, drop in the chat. Otherwise, forever, hold your peace. Okay, who is Habib said, hey man, sorry to jump in, but I have a question regarding BLT1. It would be really helpful if you could answer. I don't know what BLT1 is. Let me Google that. Oh, Blue Team Level 1 certification. Is that what you mean? I've never taken that cert, so I'm not sure if I would be able to help you or not. I'm also not a blue teamer, though I know some of it. Let me know what your question is. I want to give exam this week and want to practice for the exam. Can you recommend anything? Yeah, okay. I can. So what I would recommend is on Try Hack Me. If you go to the Learn path here, for the Blue Team Level 1, I'm not... Let me see what's all in scope here. So security fundamentals. Okay, so pretty basic introductory type stuff. So if you go to Try Hack Me and Learn, the SOC 1 analyst, I think, is kind of what you'd be looking for. I haven't actually done too much of the SOC 1, but I have been going through the SOC 2 path. So SOC 1, let's just look at this real quick. Monitor, investigate alerts, configure security tools, develop, implement IDS signatures, escalate security incidents. So I believe, looking at that, we even have phishing here. So this is going to cover, I think, everything in that Blue Team 1. I've been going through the SOC Level 2 path, but I think this is going to be an overkill. This is more advanced stuff, but it has been really good. One room I want to do on stream, I try to wait to do the challenge room, so I'm on stream. Let's see, we have Sig Hunt. I think I want to attempt live on stream, and I'm going through threat hunting right now, and we might work through some of that on stream. Yeah, you're on the right path, my friend. Anything else? Max Impact said, how long do you think it would take for someone that is changing fields to get a job in pen testing? You know, that's a tough question because every one of us is different based on our just our aptitude, I think, for learning and powering through stuff, and all depends on your past background. So for me personally, I made the switch into IT back in 2020. Was it 2020 or 2021? I don't even remember now. 2024 now. I think it was 2021. Yeah, it was the fall of 2021. I made my switch into IT. I was in pastoral ministry, was a pastor for 10 years, but got kind of burnt out dealing with people through COVID and all the drama that surrounded COVID. And just as like, yo, I need a break from people on computers. Computers aren't as mean as people sometimes. Even church religious people, they can be meaner than non-religious people a lot of the time. And so got kind of burnt out on that and switched over to IT in 2021 and landed my first role pretty quickly as IT support level 1 while I was working on my bachelor's degree at WGU. But it took me, my first role, I was making about $50,000 a year, IT support level 1, which is way more than I ever made as a pastor. I felt like freaking super rich at that point, and took me about 2 years before I became a pen tester. So I went from IT support level 1 to a manager of IT support because of my leadership experience in the church world. Then I became an analyst on the blue team side of things at a bank for a short time, and then I became a pen tester at Rhino, and that's where I've been for the past year and 2 months. Started as an associate, recently got promoted to career pen tester. So I was an associate, now I'm a career pen tester, which is exciting stuff, but took me about 2 years to become a pen tester. Yeah, no problem. If anyone else has questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will sign off for the evening. But really do appreciate all of you taking the time to hang out with me. Makes it a lot less boring when it's just me talking to no one. I remember when I first started streaming, I started my YouTube channel in February of 2022, I think. And then I started streaming shortly after that. And most of my streams had 0 people watching or 1 person watching because it was me on my phone making sure everything was good. So it's cool that there's actually people hanging out with me doing this together. So really appreciate you all here. Unknown artist said, congrats on 10K. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, so if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, do it. That is my main platform. Just surpassed 10,000 subscribers, which is crazy. If you just search for Tyler Ramsbey on YouTube, you'll find it. I'm at the point where, like, it's crazy to me. Organizations are reaching out. One was like, hey, can we have a conversation about sponsoring videos? So, like, you know, the bigger YouTubers saying, hey, this video is brought to you by so-and-so. So I might do that. I always want to dig into the orgs before I do it. Another org that I'm excited about, I'll have 2 videos coming out for them, like actual videos, but they have a pretty cool platform. Actually, you know what? I'll even just show it to you guys. This isn't the official thing. Let's see. So there's this Square X. I'll have a whole video that explains all of this, but quite a cool application here. Essentially, it allows you, I think I have my account on here. Yeah, I don't have it. Square X allows you to open up emails or websites, but it does it almost in a try hack me VM. So let's say this is a suspicious link. I can right click it and say open in Square X, and it'll actually open it in like an AWS EC2 in a isolated browser. So you can analyze it that way. It can also download files. So if you want to look at malware, but not on your host computer, you can right click open in Square X and it'll open it in EC2, like AWS environment, and you can check it out there. And then with emails, they have some cool things you can do with emails as you analyze phishing emails without getting attacked. So, that's cool. I'll be coming out the video for them. They offered some really good money, which I appreciate, just to make a couple of videos for them. So I'll be coming out with those. Those will be actually dedicated videos to them. But I'm only making dedicated videos because I actually think it's cool. And shoot, I would just do it myself. Is there a paywall? No, nothing I do is behind a paywall, St. Phil, and I'm gonna keep it that way. Everything I do is free of charge. So Discord stuff, I will say, like, a lot of people message me, y'all, on LinkedIn and Discord, and I cannot respond to everyone. Like right now, let me check out LinkedIn real quick. I don't know how like John Hammond, the bigger people do it, but on LinkedIn right now, I have 700 requests. I can't manage all the requests. So like if you've sent me a message and I ignore you, it's not on purpose. The best way to get a hold of me is to talk to me when I'm on stream, or tag me on Discord. And I think someone asked, is there a Discord? There is a Discord, but I don't know how to hook it up to YouTube chat. Yeah, I'll drop the Discord link right now. Who is? 1 second. Oh, you sent me a LinkedIn, St. Phil? I apologize. I'll have to check it out, dude. Like I said, I get so many messages. It's not that I don't want to respond to everyone, but yo, outside of this, here, I'll drop the Discord there. So like I work full time as a pen tester. So I work your typical, I work 8 to 5 each day. I have 2 young kids, 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, which is crazy, wife. So outside of work and streaming, yo, it's hard for me to respond to messages, but do appreciate your guys' support and your kind words. All right, anything else? Otherwise, I'll sign off. For those of you on YouTube, hey, this is what you miss when you don't join me for the live streams, right? If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, appreciate you as well. But there's something cool about live streaming. We can have this kind of back and forth and hang out together after we complete rooms and hack stuff, or while we're completing rooms and hacking stuff. All right. I think we're good. Let me double check LinkedIn. I always have to refresh LinkedIn. Make sure I'm not missing anything there. Oh, okay, I got a few questions on LinkedIn. Billy said, do you make live bug bounty like this? I do not do it. And I don't do a whole lot of bug bounties. So I only have a handful of bug bounties. Actually, more like a 3 full of bug bounties. I only have 3 bug bounties. One was a pretty big one that led to account takeover. So my biggest payout, I made $2,000 off of one bug. But my other ones are just cross-site scripting, like $300 a bug, I think. But I just don't do bug bounties since I do pen testing for a living. I don't feel like spending my evenings like doing bug bounty for companies for free, whereas companies can pay Rhino and I'll do their pen test. So I just don't do a whole lot of bug bounty. But if I wasn't doing this for a living, I definitely would. Next stream on Friday? I don't know, dude. Like I said, my streams all depend on kind of my kids' schedules and what I have going on. But I stream multiple times a week, so just stay tuned. At least I'd say 2 or 3 times a week I'm on stream. I always start around 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time though. So all right, who is Sabib said, if you have to start over, what will you not do in your path? All right, I'll give you. Actually, I'll stay on stream, but for those of you on YouTube, I am gonna sign off. I know that you probably watch for the SSRF thing, not all these questions. So for those of you on YouTube, thank you for hanging out. At least the YouTube after the fact, the live stream, I'll hang on. YouTube after the fact, thank you for being here. Y'all can catch me in the next video. Peace. Okay, I'm still live on stream though. So who is Sabib? I'll answer your question. What if you had to start over, what would you not do in your path? That's a good question. Though my one story time I'll tell you guys is I once started a job and quit it in 2 days, and then went back to my old job and begged to have it back. So I'll tell you that story. So when I went from IT support level 1, became a manager, and then I was offered a role that doubled my pay, so it looked really good, and I would have been basically the head of cybersecurity for an MSP, so a managed service provider. And I'm not going to say everything they did because I don't want to give this org away, but I would have been the manager of the cybersecurity team for a managed service provider. It looked awesome. Went through the interview process. I accepted the job, and then when I showed up for the first day, it was in person, which I already don't like. Like, now that I've been remote, I'm never going back to an office unless I'm absolutely forced to. I freaking hate offices. Like, I'm staying remote the rest of my career. But I was in an office, and not even an office, the silly open air cubicle crap that I know a lot of you work in, and that's what I used to work in, the cubicle farms, which I think are just dumb and silly. I've always noticed, I might make some of the CEO or angry people mad, but I've always noticed that people who have return to office mandates have the private offices, like corner offices, and assistants that bring them coffee. They want to return to the office because they have a sweet office and they have assistants who bring them food, right? They're not coming back to sit in a cubicle with 30 other people all around them talking and are being loud, and you can't focus anyways because everywhere they go, people talk to them. Those aren't the ones mandating return to office. It's the nice CEOs in the C-suite freaking corner office. Anyways, I digress. This was an in-office job. And in the office, when I got there for my first day, it was just like, it was cold. There was a few things the organization did. One is when they were going to hire me, they offered me the role, and I accepted it because the person that was in the role stepped down, like they were going to leave the company. Well, that person decided to stay, but they still offered me the job. So when I showed up, there was me and this other person with more experience than me. I was there to take his job, even though he was still at the company. Very awkward situation, and it was just like a cold environment. Like, I can't explain it better than that. Emotionally cold, just not a good place to be. And I read that immediately on my first day. Came home from work that first day, and I just told my wife, like, this freaking sucks. I'm not working here. I'll go back to being a pastor. Like, screw this. I'm not dealing with this level of drama, right? And then I went to HR the next day just because I wanted to know, like, what is going on? Like, is my read on the situation correct? So I went to HR and just explained, like, yo, this is just super awkward. Like, I don't honestly want to be here. This is a really awkward environment. And what they told me is, they said, yeah, we know it is, but because you're a pastor, your background in pastoral ministry, we know we have some interesting dynamics on the team, but we were hoping, like, your emotional intelligence and some of the training you've done in counseling and therapy, that you could come in and essentially make the team healthy. And I was like, yo, you need a business consultant. You don't need me. And I quit. I quit the job after 2 days and just told them, don't pay me. I don't want a paycheck. But I still needed a job. Like, y'all, I'm like the primary provider for my family. If I don't work, we don't have a house. And so I quit my job after 2 days, and I called my old boss that where I quit, and I was like, dude, this is terrible. Can I have my old job back? Like, will you rehire me? I know that you probably won't, but I don't know what to do. And they actually hired me back, and then I was there for some time, that IT support manager role. So your original question was, what would you do over? I'd maybe be a little more alert to those red flags. Like, I saw some of those red flags in the interview process, but kind of brushed them off because it appeared to be my dream job. But I quit my so-called dream job after 2 days because the team and the organization was just toxic, at least the part that I was in. Super unhealthy environment. and actually was going through a recruiter. So the recruiter was pissed, and I probably burned some bridges there, because if you know how a recruiter works, a recruiter only gets paid after you're in an organization for 90 days. They get a portion of that total salary. Well, since I quit after 2 days, the recruiter didn't get paid, so he got super upset with me, and he's like, hey, you just need to stick it out. Like, this is new to you. Maybe it's just nerves getting to you. And I was like, bruh, I was a pastor for 10 years. I have a master's of divinity. Like, I spent 3 years studying people and psychology and therapy and theology and all these things. Like, I know when a situation's unhealthy. I don't need you as a recruiter trying to get money to tell me to stick it out because you want to make your paycheck. So told him peace out. He never got back to me. Told the org, peace out, don't pay me. We're just going to call it good. And that's my time where I quit a job after 2 days, early into my IT career. And to be honest, I almost left IT completely. I was really down. And it was really close to just saying, I'm not going to do IT. I'm not going to do pen testing. I'm not going to do cybersecurity. And I was going to maybe do something in the business world. I have a lot of things that interest me. So honestly, even with pen testing, who knows? I love pen testing. Hopefully I do this for a long time. But if I don't, that's okay. I'll find a different job. And I say this on LinkedIn all the time, but I mean it. Careers aren't that important. Your job's not that important. If pen testing came to a spot where it's hurting my family or my personal health, I'll literally just quit and find a different job. I probably won't make as much money. But when I was a pastor, I was making about $30,000 a year, maybe 40, around that, $30,000 to $40,000 a year for a family of 4. And now I make way more than that, but I literally haven't changed my style of living at all. I still drive a 2002 Volvo, like 250,000 miles. I live in the same house, haven't done any remodeling, so I make a lot more money, but I just give more money away to church and some organizations that way that I support. But I have not increased my standard of living at all. So I could go back right now to making $30,000 a year, and I'd be fine. Money doesn't buy happiness, my friends. All right. Any other questions? Any other story time you guys want? This is live stream exclusive, not being recorded for YouTube, unless they watch it. Bottleneck said, "Are you glad you made that decision?" Yeah, I am glad, because when it comes to work environment, an unhealthy work environment will destroy you. Now, I recognize some people don't have a choice. You might be in an unhealthy place right now, but it's not worth it. Like I said, the income's not worth it. The job isn't worth it. I'm glad I made that decision to leave it after 2 days. No regrets. YOLO. Max said, "I've worked as a marketing consultant for 7 years. I dropped out of college to work with this guy. You aren't missing much on business side." Appreciate that. Cheeto Bandito, first of all, you have the coolest name in chat today. What cert should I get for a SOC 1 job with 2 years of help desk experience? I mean, that's a good question. I guess, what cert should you get? I don't know if certs are really what you need for a SOC 1 job with 2 years of help desk experience. Yeah, that's what I was thinking in general. I don't think SOC Tier 1 requires certs. If you want a cert that will help you stand out, Security Plus, I think is going to be good. A lot of SOCs will work with like government agencies, and I know Security Plus is like one of those government qualified things. I have the Security Plus when I was going through WGU. You definitely wouldn't need anything like the OSCP or PMPT for the pen testing side of things. Wouldn't hurt. But honestly, Security Plus would be good. All these job listings want bachelor's degrees and CISP. Where are you guys getting these jobs? Yeah, so I've never worked in a SOC, to be fully transparent there. But yeah, I don't know, dude. SOC Tier 1 isn't going to usually require that. You have Security Plus. That's awesome. So then the other thing would be projects, right? Do you have projects? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have anything like that? Personally, my YouTube channel, I think, has helped me stand out for employers and my platform more than my certs have. And I have a bunch of certs and degrees in OSCP. So projects would be one thing to look at, but the other thing is just resume. Like, to be totally blunt, does your resume suck? A lot of people's resumes suck. We look at our resume, we're like, dude, this is awesome. I don't know why no one wouldn't hire me. But if you're not getting interviews, your resume might suck. It might be worth having some people review your resume if you have some friends in the tech industry. If you're on Discord, the Work Smarter Discord, we have a resume review thing there. You can drop your resume, people review it. But if you're not even getting interviews, check out your resume. If you're getting interviews, it means your resume is cleared. It doesn't, if you're getting interviews, you don't need any more certs. You've already made it through the HR hurdle. At the interview part, you need to really work on your people communication skills, talking, asking good questions, and going through the interview process. Default Sex said, would you consider an IT job position that pays a minimum wage and requires you to have 5 years of experience? It's like legit minimum wage, dude? Like, what is minimum wage? Hold up, let me check. Where I live, it's $11.20 an hour. No, I wouldn't, unless I was truly desperate. So the reason if I was a teenager, let me just be clear. If I was a teenager and didn't have like responsibilities to provide for a family, yeah, why not? If you can do it without like being broke, then you get a lot of good experience in that role, but I wouldn't stay there. Plan on changing that job in 6 months to a year. Like being there for 6 months just so you get experience and jump to a different job. On the other hand, like for me personally, I have the family of 4. There's no way the minimum wage is going to provide for them. So I'll go get a job at like I used to be a supervisor at Sam's Club. Like, screw it, I'll go work in retail. And then to get that experience, once again, I was in the church world, right? Churches or synagogues or mosques, regardless of your religious affiliation, or just a nonprofit group, if you're not religious, doesn't matter, volunteer your time there. Help them with their website, help them with web design, help them with some of their networking, and you can put that on their resume that you worked at so-and-so, you helped them with some of this stuff, and you can put them down as a reference when you're applying for those jobs. And that way you can get experience without, making minimum wage while working a different full-time job so you can actually pay the bills. That's what I would do. But if you're able to do it on minimum wage, do it, dude. Get the experience. Yeah, not even interviews. Yeah, Cheeto Bandito. Check out your resume. I think that's going to be your weak area. General said, Hacksmarter, is red team a natural step forward for a pen tester? Yeah, it depends on what you want to do. So when we do red teaming, like where I work at Rhino Security Labs, I'm a pen tester, so I don't do much red teaming, but red teaming engagements are much longer, and I'll assist with them. But to be a true red teamer, pen testing is often that first step, because red teamers are like advanced pen testers. I actually have a video coming out soon that will explain the difference between both of those things. But a pen test is usually a time-limited engagement. You might have 5 days to do an assessment, be as noisy as you want, just find all the vulnerabilities. Red team engagement could be 3 months, 6 months, a year long at times, where you emulate in an advanced persistent threat. You're doing social engineering, you're doing phishing emails, you might be an on-site engagement pretending to be an electrician to get access to their building, you're doing AV evasion, you're writing your own malware to bypass things, much more advanced stuff. So I would say land a role as a pen tester and then grind it out. If you really want to be a red teamer, I'd say be in the trenches of being a pen tester for 5 to 8 years, depending on your aptitude and ability to grow, and then you might be at a good spot to be a senior pen tester or red teamer, and you'll be able to do a lot more stuff there. Shy Wolf Game said, I want to be a pen tester. What projects would you work on or suggest someone to do? Well, I can tell you exactly what I do, what I did. OSCP, unfortunately, is still the gold standard. It's super expensive, but if you can get the OSCP, that's going to at least get you through the HR hurdle, and you're going to jump over a lot of things. So if you can get the OSCP or the PMPT or both, ideally, you're going to get interviews. Hands down, you'll get interviews. So if you can get the OSCP, that's a good place to start. As far as projects to work on, dude, make a YouTube channel if you're comfortable talking. So if you go to my YouTube channel and go to oldest videos, you can see that. When I started my YouTube channel, I was working in IT support. I wanted to be a pen tester, but had no idea how to get there, because every pen testing job I looked at said it needed 3 to 5 years of pen testing experience. And I'm over here like helping people reset their password. Like, I don't know how to be a freaking pen tester. But what I did with YouTube is I was like, I'm just going to go through Try Hack Me and Hack the Box live like I'm doing now, and just stream what I'm doing and then upload the video to YouTube. And then when I'm in an interview with pen test company or submit my resume, they can see like, yo, this guy Tyler, he doesn't have all the fancy certs, he doesn't have the experience, but he has this YouTube channel and this small platform he's built where he goes on stream and shows himself learning live. So he has the ability to learn on the spot, and that's what I did. So actually, when I got hired as a pen tester, I didn't even have the OSCP yet. I got the OSCP after I landed my first pen testing role, the same role I'm at right now. Looking over at the chat. Is having a blog with CTF write-ups good as experience in a resume? I think so, personally. So if you were to apply at Rhino, where I work, with a blog with CTF write-ups where you do good write-ups on the vulnerabilities that you found, we would take your resume and bring it to the top of the heap, because that's doing more work than 99% of the other people who apply for pen testing roles. You'd be surprised how many people apply but don't have a passion or put an effort outside of the 9 to 5. Like, the thing with being a pen tester, if you do not demonstrate that you are committed to continual learning and growth, you will not make it as a pen tester. It just requires so much learning and so much grinding that you will destroy yourself if you don't truly find this stuff life-giving. Yeah, that's awesome. So I mentioned my Hack the Box and THM rank, and it all depends who's interviewing you. But like, so I'll be getting trained soon to do interviews and some of that stuff at Rhino. I did interviews at my last role, but if I'm looking at your resume and I see a THM or Hack the Box or write-ups or a YouTube channel, I'm already putting you above other people, because that's my experience. And like, yo, with pen testing, a lot of it's communication. So the way a pen test works, y'all, is I'll do like a 5-day assessment, like a web app assessment for a client, and I'll create like a 30-40 page report and send it to them saying, here's everything I found. But often what you'll do is you'll have a debrief, and what you do in a debrief is I'll sit down in a Zoom call with the project manager and then the client and all their technical team. I'll share my screen, I'll walk them through the report step by step, I'll give them examples of how I exploited their environment, I'll tell them, hey, here's suggested ways that I remediate it. And it's kind of like what I do on Twitch. Like, the best way that I prep for debrief calls is what I'm doing right now, explaining technical concepts to people who might be highly technical, or maybe they're on the business side and aren't very technical. But your goal as a pen tester is don't make them feel dumb. They're probably smarter than you in many ways, just not at this particular thing. But you have to be able to explain things without like making them feel dumb. Like, smart people, computer engineering, sciencey people, which I know are a lot of you, you have a tendency to be smart, but the way you talk, you make people feel dumb, right? You use big words. I don't know if it's imposter syndrome that we often have, but like, don't use big words. Just explain things the best you can and be natural about it, right? Be a freaking human being, not a computer. Yeah, go ahead. You can share your link on Discord. Totally fine. Oh, well, actually, default sec, you can try to. Twitch might block it. So if it does, I apologize. All right, y'all. Good questions, yo. I finished the walkthrough like an hour ago. You guys are asking good questions. Let me see if I'm missing anything. I'll hang out as long as you guys have questions, unless you keep going. I'll eventually sign off. Make sure I'm not missing anything on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I have to refresh the screen to see the chat. Charles said, the thing about using specific words is that it's the only way to be accurate and really valid. I mean, kind of. Kind of. So, for example, I'll give you a good example from something we did today. Hold up. Let me pull up the room from today. And I'll share my screen in a second. Oh, come on. So if we go to blind right here, blind SSRF with out of band. Out of band is a technique where the attacker leverages a separate out of band communication channel instead of directly receiving sponsors from the target server to receive information. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to you. That doesn't make sense to a business leader. Instead, kind of what I was talking about, explain it to them, right? Here's the attacker. I'll go back to share my screen so you guys can see me, right? Here's the attacker. Here's the web server. Here's an internal resource. All this is doing is saying, hey, Go through here, web server, kind of like our slave, make a request to this and send it back to us. And if we talk about out of band, it's just hosting our own web server so that we can see requests that are being made. But when we use like out of band SSRF, that already sounds confusing and will cause people's eyes to gloss over. The other part of it is explain the business impact of it. So if we look at this, we say we can receive information or control the exploited server, blah, blah. What's the business impact though? You know what I mean? A business leader reading this or listening to you talk about, like, I found out of band SSRF on your server. Well, they're like, what the frick do you mean you found out of band SSRF on my server? Like, who cares? Well, if you explain to them, with my out of band SSRF, here's what I can do. I can exploit your web application. I can do a targeted URL to your web application, and I can get customers' credit card data right now. I can steal your customer's credit card data. And if I was a threat actor, you know, all those news stories you hear about on ransomware and something called the deep web. Well, an attacker could abuse this right now, get customers' credit card data, and then sell it on the deep web or charge you a ransom for them not to do that. So the reason you should care about out-of-band SSRF is it impacts the bottom line. It will impact your profit. It will impact your company brand. As a pen tester or a consultant, you have to be able to take vulnerabilities like this and explain the true business impact of it. We can't just remain technical. We have to connect the dots for them. Yeah, the right language, the right audience. You're spot on. Okay, what else am I missing? Shy Wolf Game said, what can we do to work on soft skills? Yeah, that's really good default sec. Think about being a tutor for the people and assume they know terms of what you did. And soft skills, I mean, soft skills can be defined in a bunch of different ways. I would argue, I don't know if argue is the right word. The most undervalued soft skill is probably the hardest to explain, and that's emotional intelligence. How many of you have heard that word before? Let's see how Google defines it. Okay, yeah, this is good. I promise this isn't going to be this psychotherapy stuff. So emotional intelligence. Oh, maybe that's not going to actually explain it. Well, this is key. The ability to manage your own emotions and understand the emotions of people around you. There are 5 key elements: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. People with high emotional intelligence can identify how they are feeling, what those feelings mean, and how those emotions impact their behavior and in turn other people. Yo, tech people freaking suck at emotional intelligence. If we all do in some capacity, but if you haven't thought about this, it probably means you're not that great at it. When you meet someone and they make you feel good about yourself, it's because they have a high emotional intelligence. And what that often looks like is they ask questions about you. We're all interested in talking about ourselves, but we need to be curious. And I know if you're watching this, you're curious about computers, you're curious about pen testing, but you need to become curious about other people, which I know is hard for those of us who spend all of our time in a basement, like myself. I'm in my basement all the time, but we need to be curious about other people. And that act of curiosity, asking questions about their hobbies, what they do, and getting to know them as a person, not just as a project, goes a long way with emotional intelligence. But the other part of that is just like knowing emotions. We often don't talk about our emotions, but we should, guys. So the best thing to grow in emotional intelligence and even social skills is go to therapy. I know I harped on this if you listen to my Simply Cyber chat that I did when I presented at Simply CyberCon. You all and myself, all of us can benefit from an extended season in professional therapy. We all have past traumas that affect how we relate to other people. We all have ways of putting up shields because of things that have happened to us, maybe in our childhood, maybe growing up, maybe we were bullied, and we don't even realize how that affects our relationships with other people, reflects our relationships at work and all those things. And the only way you can get to the bottom of it is not from you sitting down in front of your computer and Googling stuff. Like, we all can self-diagnose ourselves with things. Yo, go to therapy. talk to a professional therapist. And I think as you talk to a professional therapist, they'll be able to identify areas of weakness in your life, whether it's social skills or leadership style or management style or the way you relate to others, that I can't do on a Twitch chat. That was a very long answer for you. Best way to get good at soft skills is become a healthy individual yourself. The best way to be a healthy individual is spend a season in professional therapy. Oh, that's really interesting, Max Impact. He said, just study mirroring that FBI interrogators use. I'm pretty autistic, and I use that as a bartender and got super tips. People love talking about themselves. That's a good way to do it. It is a form of social engineering, right? It's a type of social engineering in some ways, right? Get people to talk about themselves. But the only reason I stray away from that word is then we begin to look at people like projects or as assets that we can use and abuse. But I totally get what you're saying. So guys, even like, here's one thing about me as a pen tester. When I got hired at Rhino, and even now, I told them I'm happy to do any assessment types. Like right now, what I can do as far as pen test wise, I do web apps, APIs, internal pen tests like AD, external pen tests, AWS pen tests. I'll do mobile apps, iOS and Android. I'm working on Azure right now. I'll start doing Azure pen tests. But the one pen test I won't do is on-site social engineering, which I love hearing the stories about on-site social engineering on like darknet diaries, where people do all this crazy stuff to get into a building and they like find the hidden flags or the files and demonstrate this. I think it's awesome. And like at DEF CON, I love like the social engineering village. I love that stuff, but I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, because although I think it's cool that other people do it, I have no issues with anyone who does social engineering. For me, I cannot bring myself to look into another human being and like manipulate them, right? Like engineer them, lie to them, deceive them to pull information out of them, even though it is for the greater good. Like someone has to do it. They have to emulate an APT, and we do it where I work. I just told them, look, I'll work here, but I'm not going to do any on-site social engineering. I could probably do some phishing emails because that's different, but looking someone in the face and flat out like deceiving them or pulling information out from them, or like saying I'm an electrician and lying to them, I can't do it. But I'm glad people do. I think like everybody else at Rhino is comfortable doing it. I'm just not. But I was upfront and honest about that. That's just not for me. I can do all the other pen testing, but I can't just lie to people. Oh, sorry, Sahib, I missed your question. Can we check MITRE ATT&CK for business impact? You can in some ways. You can in some ways check MITRE ATT&CK framework. You can see business impact there, but often a business owner wants to know, how does it affect my business? So you still have to make that translation from general business impact to how does it impact this business in the financial industry, for example. Yeah, it is interesting, Max Impact. He said it's interesting because someone argued that management is a form of manipulation for the greater good. You're probably right. Like I said, I have zero issues with the concept of social engineering. I think it's awesome. Love hearing stories about it, and have zero issues with people who do it. I think they're awesome. I wish I could. I personally can't do it. I would be terrible at it. I just be like, all right, y'all. I am a pen tester. I apologize. Just pretend like I didn't tell you that. That would be my form of social engineering. Default Sec said, I sucked at making friends and had to cue myself into using my logical side to analyze and self-regulate my answers and questions to keep a conversation going. Yeah, dude. Okay, so me too. What might surprise y'all, since I'm always talking on stream, I am extremely introverted. I don't go outside most days. Like the only people I talk to 99.9% of the time is you guys, but you don't talk back to me. And then my wife and my kids, they're like the only people I hang out with. And I read, let me see if I can find it. I love reading books. I don't know about the rest of y'all. But there's some books that I found really helpful. Why is it not loading? There we go. Here we go. This book right here. This book's amazing. Here, let me pull it up on Amazon. Well, One of these will load. Yeah, here we go. If no one has read this book, check it out. It might be over exaggerated if I say it transformed my life, but in some ways it did, because if you consider this, I was a pastor for 10 years, right? If you think being a pen tester requires communication, that's nothing compared to pastoral ministries. I was constantly with people doing counseling every Sunday. I'd stand up in front of a pretty big group of people and give, 50-minute talks, and I'd hang out with people afterwards. I'd go to all these events. Like, it was exhausting for me as an introvert. But this book was super helpful for me. So if you're like me as well, even if you don't read books, first of all, you should. Reading books is good. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry, guys. I thought I was sharing my screen. Apologies. Quiet. The power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. Some of you are saying to yourself, I don't read books. Freaking get over yourself and read a book. It's good for you. I love reading. Yeah, I've read Mitnick's book about social engineering. I've read almost all of Mitnick books, I think. I have a sticker on my, you guys can't see it, but on my desktop computer, I got it at DEF CON. There used to be the free Kevin stickers. I have the Resurrect Kevin sticker on the back of my desktop computer over here. But check out this book. Think y'all enjoy it. Yeah, audiobooks are good too. That works default sec. Audiobooks are good, especially driving. I can't sit down and listen to an audiobook. I get too distracted. But driving, I'm able to. I used to commute 30 minutes every day. Well, a total of an hour every day when I worked in the office, because I live in a rural community, so I had to commute to a bigger city. But now my commute consists of walking down my basement steps, so I don't have a lot of time to listen to audiobooks now. And I can't just sit and listen to them. I get too distracted doing it that way. Fun stuff, y'all. Anything else, y'all? We've been doing about 50 minutes of Q&A, which is really cool. All right. I think we are good. When in the world do you have time to read books? I'll give you my rough schedule. Here's my rough schedule. All right. So we'll say, well, actually, I wake up at 7 a.m., bring my kids to school. So I live about a block from our local school. And so my wife stays at home. She works remote for college, but very part-time. But I like to take my kids to school. So I'll take them to school at 8 a.m. And then 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., that's when I work, right? I get off work 5 p.m. to about 7:30 p.m., hang out with my family until my wife and kids go to bed. And then usually I'm up from 7:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. That's usually how late I'm up. So during that time, I'll stream, read, game. That's about what my life consists of. So the couple nights that I'm streaming right now, what time? I don't even know what time it is. 9:30 where I'm at right now. So I'll probably read some books actually when I get off now. Is what I'll do. Stream, read. I meditate. Either in the morning, often in the evening. So right before I go to bed, usually at about 11:15, 11:30, I'll meditate. But I'm religious, which I know you don't have to be religious. At least I'm a Christian. I'm pretty upfront about that. But if you're not a Christian, totally fine. This isn't a Christian stream at all. So my meditation is usually I'll read the Bible, pray, and kind of do that stuff. And it helps just chill me out, relax my mind, and then I get ready for bed. 6 hours of sleep on average? No, about 7 hours. I don't wake up till 7 in the morning, right? So I sleep from about midnight to 7 a.m. And then when I wake up at 7, actually about 7:15, my kids go to school at 8. So 7 a.m. we get a quick breakfast, and then I bring them to school at about 7:45, drop them off, and then I come home and start work. Dude, the flame, you missed everything, dude. We've had a heart-to-heart conversation for the past 50 minutes. We did the SSRF room on Try Hack Me. Then I just said, hey, I'll hang around and answer any questions people have. And we've been doing Q&A for the past 50 minutes. Sahib said, read is different. Reading Bible is different in your schedule. Yeah. So like when I just do my general, like, so right now I'm reading fiction. What's the book called? I'm literally reading it now. Yeah, and hey, if you guys like this, maybe I'll do this more often. This is kind of like a live stream exclusive. This won't be posted on a YouTube video. This is much more informal, just hanging out. So here's the books I'm reading right now. I'm getting them pulled up on my Kindle. So, I'm going through this series. Curious if anyone's read it. The Wheel of Time series. Anyone read through this books? I'm in the 4th book of the Wheel of Time series. I love like high fantasy type stuff. I play Elder Scrolls Online as my like primary game I play, so I love that stuff. Wheel of Time series, so I'm reading through that right now. I'm reading through 3 books. The other one is Nickel and Dimed. This is a great book too on not getting by in America. It talks about poverty and like minimum wage jobs, kind of like sociology. So I'm reading this book, and then the other book I'm reading. I always have like 3 books because I like to jump between different ones, but I always forget the names. I just pull them up. I have a Kindle Paperwhite. This is a really good book as well. Christian book. So the other ones are secular or not Christian. This is one that's more religious, so not for everyone. But How to Inhabit Time, Understanding the Past, Facing the Future, and Living Faithfully Now. Really good book about just time and learning how to be present and things like that. So those are the books I'm reading. But then, my Bible reading's different because I always read different books through here, but I try to spend about 30 to 45 minutes every day meditating. But my form of meditating isn't like sitting listening to audio. I go through some Bible plan type stuff, and I read the Bible. I like to read it out loud. I like to pray it as I do it. I don't even mind, like whether you are religious, a different religion, atheist, I'm like one of the few Christians in this industry. So I'm totally good with it and have no issues with even people making fun of religion. Like one of my favorite streamers I watch is Asmongold. So, far from any type of religion in any way, shape, or form. So for y'all, I'm not going to be offended at all by anyone who is not religious or doesn't like religion. Totally fine. It's my thing, I didn't grow up religious at all. Had some interesting experiences as a teenager, got arrested for drugs and things like that. And it was through that process that I began investigating religion. And to me, Christianity seemed to be the most appealing, made the most sense to my mind. But once again, to each their own, whether you are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, New Age, non-religion, atheist, hate Christians, I'm fine. You can still watch me. I'm okay with that. Yeah, if you laugh at yourself, you're immune to bullying. It's true. I mean, the other thing, y'all, is I box. So like what I've started doing now is on Thursday nights. So I won't stream on Thursdays. On Thursday nights, I go to a gym and beat people up. So you can bully me, but I'll just punch you in the nose. I hope to compete someday in boxing. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I've been boxing for about 5 years. Love watching MMA type stuff and wanted to try it myself. So went to a local gym and did a lot of boxing and sparring with the competition team when I worked in that bigger city, but now I don't work there anymore. But now on Thursday nights, I'm just going to spend about 2 hours doing some training and sparring at a gym with some of the competition team. Maybe one day I'll compete. If I do, I'll make sure I put the video on YouTube of me getting beat up at a competition, but we'll see. My biggest thing now is I'm actually like, I can hold my own against most boxers pretty well, but right now I just like way too much. I know I don't like look fat. At least I hope I don't look fat, but I weigh about 230, 240, depending on the day. And so if I were to compete right now, it would be at heavyweight. And heavyweight in boxing is anywhere from 205 to 265. And I don't want to fight the next Mike Tyson and get my ear bit off, right? So if I just like watched my diet, I could easily get down to like 203, and then I could fight at light heavyweight. And then I would be in like the right weight group without getting myself ripped apart. Yeah, a bunch of influencer boxing events. Imagine a former hacker winning. I'm still a hacker, maybe a former pastor. I've always said that, I was like, Jake Paul, if you want to fight another undefeated 0-0 boxer, right here, dude, let's do it. Fight someone your own size. Actually, I'd be bigger than Jake Paul, but he would beat me. I used to make fun of I used to make fun of Jake Paul, but dude is like legit, at least against other influencers. I think he'd get beat up by legit boxers, but he would beat me up. But I'm pretty sure I could if there was like a boxing competition for cybersecurity influencers, like I I almost guarantee any other infosec influencer content creator, I can beat them in a boxing match. If we can do a DEF CON boxing event tournament, I'll prove it. But I bet I could beat them all in a boxing match. Yeah, dude. Max Impact. First of all, your name is Max Impact, and you're making a point about impact. He said, have you looked at other forms of competitive martial arts like jiu-jitsu? Boxing is very dangerous for your head. This is true. This is why I stopped sparring for a long time. I should. So actually the gym that I trained at, you can look it up if you want. It's called Next Edge Academy. We have a UFC fighter named Devin Clark who trains out of there. Is where I train, and it's led by the only black belt in jiu-jitsu in the state of South Dakota. So that's actually a big thing there is Brazilian jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, things like that. I have, dude, but I just love boxing, but I also know it's dangerous. So even if anyone gets into combat sports, what's dangerous about combat sports is what's called CTE. I don't remember what that stands for, but CTE is essentially mental illness that can result from being hit in the head over and over and over again. And researchers used to think it was from being knocked out. I've never been knocked out. But researchers used to think it's from being knocked out, but they learned it's not actually from being knocked out. It's from semi-concussive strikes. So the small hits that don't seem to do any damage, those add up over time, and that's what really hurts people. So like boxers who have serious CTE issues, it's not from the big fights you saw on television they were involved in. It's all the gym wars, in the gym, sparring, getting semi-concussive strikes. That's what causes the damage. So it actually is something on my mind, which is why I stopped for a long time, but I want to get back into it. But I do have to be careful there. I will say, like, where we train, it's not the gym wars. It's not the gym wars that you see on like YouTube where people are going at it. Good sparring is focused on each person helping the other person improve. So you should be going, 40, 50% speed. And, if you're going to hit hard, not to the head, maybe a hard body shot. But it's definitely something to keep in mind. Try to hit a bag for an hour, then type a report. I got a bag right. Here's my computer. You guys can't see it, but right on that side is my heavy bag. And I have one of those speed balls, pop, 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 that bounces off your head, and you hit it again and again for hand-eye coordination. I can show you guys on stream sometime. I'm pretty good at that. I also have, I don't know if anyone has a VR headset, but I have the Quest 3, and there's Thrill of the Fight, the most realistic boxing sim I've ever experienced. Thrill of the Fight, all VR boxing, but my basement is just an open basement, so I actually have a VR area right to my right where it's just open, and I can set up the whole ring as the boxing ring. And the way Thrill of the Fight works is like when you're fighting, if you slip in real life, it slips in the game. Like all your movement translates to the game, so you slip punches, you block punches, you counter, everything like that. Closest thing I've seen to real sparring. Yeah, dude, I'm straight, straight out of Compton. I'm straight out of South Dakota, dude, where we got more cows than people, bro. I live in a town of 1,000 people. Be careful not hit your TV or wall. I hit my bookcase once. You can't see it anymore, but for about 3 months, my fingernail was black over in like my VR area. So my basement's totally unfinished. So like, I'll show you guys. Here's my basement. You guys see this? This is a fake brick wall behind me. None of this is finished. Oh, now I broke my camera. But over here, I have like a carpeted area for my kids. I just got a slab of carpet, pretty nice area, couches and everything over there. And I have my books over there. And I was boxing doing VR. And I had the guy in the corner, right? And I went to throw a right hook, and I didn't realize my bookcase was there. And I like smoked my fingernail on the bookcase and turned it black. It actually hurt a lot. I fell on the ground. I lost via TKO to the virtual boxer. All right. More questions. Zach said, Tyler, how often do you check website security than you out and about, like if you eating dinner with your fam? Now, I'm not sure if I understand your question. How often do you check website security than you out and about, like if you're eating? Oh, when I'm out and about? I don't. I'm trying. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, I try, but I do fail at this. Like when I'm not down here working, I try to be off my phone, off my computer. I want to be present to my family, not doing this crap and, scrolling all the time. Yeah, InfoSec VR boxing. That's how we can do our boxing competitions. I don't play Valorant. Nope. So the games I play currently, I play Elder Scrolls Online, Battlefield 2042, Battlefield 1, Counter-Strike 2, Insurgency Sandstorm. I think those are the main games I play now. Used to play CS 1.6 back in the day, the original Call of Duty as well. But I don't play Valorant. Oh, Zach said, like, if you're eating at a restaurant and you're like, oh, let's see if /admin is open. I used to all the time until I became a pen tester. Because then it was like, before I was a pen tester, I always wanted to dig into it, right? Because I was just curious. Now it's like, now that I do it in real clients' environments, everything is just insecure. Like I don't trust anyone with my data because their data, it's so easy to get their data. I could probably go into a restaurant and take down their TVs, right? Like connect to it with Bluetooth, but Zero X said, I'm going there for a pen test next month. First time there. Anything you recommend in Rapid City? Dude, have fun. First of all, it's freaking cold, bro. I don't know where you're at right now, but this past weekend, just to give you some context, I think it was Saturday, our air temperature, so this is without wind chill, was about -25. And then when you added wind chill, at least where I live, we were about, what it felt like outside was -45 to -50 degrees. Absolutely freaking insane. Like, it's really low cost of living in South Dakota, but that's because, most people are going to freeze to death if they move to South Dakota. So there's honestly not a whole lot to do in South Dakota in the wintertime. It is so cold, bro. And I've also never, the last time I was in Rapid City, I was like a young kid, like, I don't know, 6, 7, or 8. I live on the other side of South Dakota, so the east side of South Dakota, where Rapid City, Mount Rushmore, like when people think of South Dakota, that's what they think of. That's on the west side of South Dakota. That's about 8 to 9 hours from me. So I'm not over there often at all. So unfortunately, I don't have any recommendations in Rapid City. Haven't been there myself. I don't think really ever. Yeah, default sex ed. So here's the crazy thing about boxing, yo. I used to box with the sheriff of the entire county where I live. So the head person of all the police. So I used to spar with him. So I could tell people honestly, I've punched a cop in the face multiple times and never got arrested for it. Him and another deputy came and I sparred with both of them pretty often. So I regular fought with police officers and never went to prison for it. General said, I used to be a pro at CS 1.5 and 1.6. Those are the good days, dude. Those were the good days, dude. That's when I first got introduced to gaming. I was like 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old when I got introduced to first-person shooters. I actually used to play like Delta Force back in the day, like way back in the day, but that was good. Do you use headgear? Yeah, you guys want to see it? Be right back. There we go. Yeah, headgear. So I mean, headgear's I'll sometimes spar with headgear, sometimes I won't. A lot of people think headgear makes it safer, but it doesn't necessarily make it safer. What headgear will do, like something like this padding will make it so like gloves, of course, can hurt. And if a glove hits you just right, the leather in the glove will actually cut your face. So if you ever see boxers or MMA fighters get into a ring, they'll put you'll see them put Vaseline on their faces before they do it. It's not like cheating, it's just so that their face doesn't get sliced up by the leather of the gloves. So what headgear will do, it'll help your face not get sliced up by the gloves, but it doesn't stop you from like getting knocked out, because there's a little bit of padding here, but it's still a concussive strike. It doesn't take away much force. The other downside is you can just see this. Putting this on makes your head bigger. And so when I spar with headgear versus without headgear, I get hit by a lot more punches with headgear on because my head's a little bit of a bigger target. So something that would normally miss or just glance me snaps my head back because it's hitting the headgear. It also, as you can see, blocks your vision. So there's a lot of punches you don't see, and they say, you know, the punches that hurt the most are the ones you don't see. You miss a lot more punches with headgear on. So I'll do both. I'll spar with headgear and without it. Just my show and tell for the stream. Yeah, I do Delta Force 2 online. That's what's up, bro. Let's see. Oh, dude, it's still on Steam. We could go play it today. Yeah, I remember playing this too. This is the one I was thinking of. Delta Force 2. The OG, right? There was this. The game I really got into though, like the first game I really got into was this. Like, did anyone ever play the original Call of Duty on PC? I was part of like a clan and everything. We used to do scrimmages. We'd have like practices and everything. This game was king for me back in the day. The original Call of Duty. That's awesome, default sec. Brute forcing the pin code. I got into pen testing actually in high school, before I got into like ministry type stuff. In high school, me and a friend just wanted to see what we could bypass. So actually, here, I'll share my screen again. Way back in the day, and it's still around, we used to pull all-nighters. We were like 16, 17 years old. And we would pull all-nighters on hackthisite.org. This was like try hack me and hack the box before there was such a thing. And you would go through scenarios on here, basic, realistic application programming. So we would go through these scenarios and we'd learn stuff, and then we'd go to school the next day and try it, and actually got banned from using computers. So I couldn't touch a computer in school for I think it was at least an entire year, if not more. I think it was just a full year. So back when I was in school, we didn't have laptops and everything. We had computer labs you'd go out to when you had to do computer stuff. So anytime there was a computer lab project, I wasn't allowed to do it. So if we had to make like a PowerPoint presentation, I had to make it on poster board because I wasn't allowed to touch a computer. The school said if I were to touch a computer, they would press criminal charges against me. And so that's how I got into pen testing. I thought it was interesting. Then I stopped for a long time, for about 10 years when I was in pastoral ministry. I always did some random IT stuff on the side to make money, just to pay bills, but really didn't get serious about pen testing until I decided to leave pastoral ministry. I was like, screw it, I've always wanted to be a pen tester. I'm gonna figure out how to do it. Once again, I live in rural South Dakota, a town of 1,000 people. South Dakota is not known for pen testing. The only pen testing company we have is Black Hills InfoSec, once again 8 to 9 hours from me, and they'd never call me back or anything like that. So I didn't see how it would happen, but here I am. I played that old school COD with my friend in elementary school. That's a throwback. Dude, I still play it every once in a while. The old school COD, there was Call of Duty United Offensive. Did anyone play that? Hold up. Here we go. I'll show this to you guys. First, if y'all don't use the Brave browser, it's amazing, primarily because it blocks all YouTube ads. I say this as someone with a YouTube account that has ads, but it blocks all YouTube ads. And yeah, Yeah, it's awesome. The other ad blockers I know have gotten caught. Like, hey, you can't block this. So Call of Duty United Offensive, y'all, had tanks and everything back in 2004. I don't know if we'll see any of the combat here from it. This is my jam, yo. Call of Duty 1 and Call of Duty United Offensive. Amazing stuff. uBlock at Origin add-on still does? Oh, it still does? Okay, I didn't know that. I once again, probably the minority. I used to use Microsoft Edge. I still do some. I liked Edge, honestly. I used Chrome, then went to Edge, but now I really like Brave. Brave is my primary browser now. Yeah, dude, I use Brave on my phone as well. That's a nice thing. Like, my kids and I, we often have dance parties because I'm cool. And we'll turn on, like, some kids' music and dance out. But it always drove me crazy because I don't have YouTube Premiums. I'm not going to pay for that junk. And then I'd have to, skip ads for them. But now with Brave, I can just throw on a playlist and we can party. Did I ever play SOCOM? I did not. Oh, I should close Discord. Y'all don't need to see Discord messages. I never played SOCOM. Nope. I've seen people play it. I just haven't played it anyways. LB says, I was a Christian for 20 plus years. I'm not anymore. Totally fine. This is not a religious stream by any means. I'm personally a Christian, but I have no interest in pushing religion on any of y'all, especially through my hacking live streams. It's just part of who I am, but I don't care if you're not. Totally fine. All right, make sure I'm not missing that on LinkedIn. I might finally sign off, y'all. Do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This has been fun. We spent about an hour doing the room and an hour and 15 minutes just hanging out, chilling, chatting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Wasn't a waste of your time. I had fun though. Stuck on the CTF. I wonder what Jesus would do. Exactly, dude. Superpower. What's the most illegal thing you've done in hacking? No, only illegal thing I would have done was in school when I was messing with stuff. I don't do illegal stuff outside of that. A big part of it is I try to be moral, first of all, but like I got a wife and kids. I have no interest in getting involved with the law. I will say like one last thing, y'all. One of the coolest conversations I had was with y'all remember LawSec? You guys remember this crew? I assume y'all know LawSec. LawSec was kind of a part of Anonymous. When Anonymous was actually this big thing, LawSec was a smaller group, and this was the leader, Sabu or Hector. Believe it or not, Hector used to work at Rhino Security Labs where I work now. Not when I was there, but I was curious about him. So actually I reached out to Hector on LinkedIn and had about an hour-long Zoom call with him just to hear his story. But he's the founder of LawSec. So I heard all about like the FBI hunting you down and stuff in our private conversation. Was actually planning on getting him on Twitch and was going to live stream to Twitch and YouTube and like introduce him to all of you and have a conversation there. But he was very honest about it. If you read his story, there's a lot of controversy around it. He was sentenced to a bunch of time in prison, and then he worked with the FBI and gave them some 0 days and things like that. But a lot of people in the hacker community believe he snitched them out, essentially. And so he has a lot of people who really hate him. So he was like very honest that if he was okay, like he was totally up to jumping on stream with me and having a conversation. But he just said, if we do a live stream, you might get swatted. Like some of those angry people might jump on your stream and really spam you or legit swat you during the stream. And I was like, bro, I got a wife and 2 kids. I'm not about to get swatted. Like I make no money from this. It's not worth me having this conversation on stream just to have that happen. So I didn't pursue the conversation, but was like, he's the only legit like dark hat hacker I've ever spoken to. Really nice person. Had a long conversation with them. Talked a lot about careers and InfoSec in general, and the legality of something. So it was a really cool conversation. Yeah, yep, he's one of the hosts of Hacker in the Fed. If you haven't checked that out, here I'll show you guys that. So he started a podcast with the federal agent that hunted him down and arrested him, called Hacker in the Fed. So if you haven't seen this, check it out. But it's with Hector and then Chris Tarbell, the FBI special agent that hunted him down, and they're talking about, you know, a lot of different things. Top cybersecurity stories, presenting two different perspectives, of course, but really cool person. Hobbies said, I remember I just passed by one day and see you stream, and you are so authentic, so I stick with you. I really like you. You give your knowledge to the people, and you're authentic. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. If any of y'all at DEF CON, that'll be my last question. I've said last thing as well. Chat, yo, for those of you in the chat, anyone going to be at DEF CON this year? If you are, would love to kick it with you. I'll be at DEF CON for those couple of days. So if you're going to be at DEF CON, over on the Work Smarter Discord, that's kind of where we post meetup areas, things like that. But if you're going to be at DEF CON, we'll love to hang out with you. And then rather than just me being a talking head, you can talk as well. Would love to get to know you. LB will be there. Sweet. Well, let's connect as that gets closer. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, dude, it's expensive. It's expensive. This is my first year going to DEF CON was last year because Rhino paid for it. So the cool thing about Rhino is they pay for all of DEF CON. They pay for all my food. They pay for my Uber wherever I want to go. They put us up in our own hotel rooms on site, like at the we get one of the DEF CON hotels. So it's awesome. Really appreciate Rhino doing that. When is it? DEF CON is in August. I think August 10th. DEF CON 2024. It was a really cool experience. Oh, okay. Is it this? Here we go. So here's DEF CON. It was a cool experience. Probably the coolest part of it is first, like, people recognize me, which was crazy to me. Like, not a bunch of people at that time. I think I only had like 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. By the time DEF CON starts next time, I should have probably around 20,000 subscribers. So that'll be fun. But like, I had a handful of people come up to me like, yo, are you Tyler? I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm famous. But that was neat, just having people know who I was. But the coolest part of DEF CON, I was, so I know John Hammond a little bit. So actually, if you go to my YouTube page, one of my first interviews was with John Hammond. I had only 100 subscribers on YouTube, and he graciously agreed without, like, I didn't pay him anything. He did it of his own free will to sit down for, I think it was 30 minutes or an hour just for an interview. And I was able to get to know him during the interview, but we talked quite a bit afterwards as well. And I'll message with him on Discord occasionally. So really nice person. And was just walking through the halls of DEF CON, and all of a sudden John Hammond's next to me walking through the halls as well. I was like, yo, John. And then he looked at me and said, Tyler. So like, he actually recognized me and knew my name. So I was super happy about that. I didn't want to be like one of the fangirls who stops him and makes him talk forever. So I just walked with him a little bit, asked him how his time was going, and asked him, like, what is it like when a lot of people know who you are like him? And he said he finds it flattering. Like, really does enjoy getting to know people, but he said it can get frustrating because, like, and I can imagine this, everywhere he goes, like at a conference like DEF CON, people are constantly stopping him. And so it's hard for him to go anywhere. So I can imagine that. So I didn't stop him. I just walked next to him, talked to him a little bit for probably like 5 minutes, and then just told him, like, have a good time. Maybe see you around. But he actually recognized who I was. I felt happy about that. And, He's just as nice in person as he is on stream. I know some people talk about different content creators and how they can be jerks, but he's legit. He's a genuinely nice person. Deserves all the success he's gotten up to this point. I look a lot younger there. I probably just have like less of a beard maybe. That was only like a year ago, 2 years ago. Okay, guys, it's been a long time now. So I am going to sign off from stream. Do appreciate all of you taking the time to hang out with me. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.